It's about time we talked about this. I've been meaning to for a while, but... What if I told you that there was a way that you, yes you, could chat with your favorite fictional characters, your various Blorbos, your Skronklies, your baby girls, all to your heart's content and be the YN of your dreams? But at what cost? Everyone is well aware by now that AI is becoming more and more prevalent in creative spaces, and fandom is no exception to this. And big surprise, an area that AI is thriving in fan spaces amongst fans who are craving escapism online for many hours of the day is character chatbots. Bots that can take the form of any character, any celebrity, anytime, anywhere, so long as you have access to the internet. Now, chatbots in fandom have been around for a long time, but they've reached new levels with advances in AI technology. One of the biggest, most popular options out there for character chatbots is Character AI. What is Character AI? Character AI is an internet chatbot that utilizes language modeling and deep learning, which are machine learning algorithms that are trained on massive amounts of data to make decisions and predict the probability of certain response sequences that's based on our own brain's neural networks to generate text responses that are in line with the character or celebrity of the user's choosing. You can have conversations with them, you can build text adventure-like stories, you can even make your own characters with specially coded personalities that other people can then chat with. Multiple bots could be thrown into group chats together, so if you wanted to see how a SpongeBob character bot and a Light Yagami character bot would interact with each other, you could do that. What would unfold? I don't know. Character AI was launched in September 2022, roughly a year ago, and has been ramping up in popularity over the past few months, hitting the fandom sphere like a meteorite. Now, the founders of Character AI claim that through the AI, they hope to help millions and billions of people with loneliness, and propose that there are educational and therapeutic uses for it. And judging by people's attachments and reactions to these character bots, all of the memes, the edits, the posts, the videos, the hype surrounding them on social media, like Twitter and TikTok, it seems like the founders are well on their way to reaching their goal. Now, what sets Character AI apart from most other AI tech software like Grammarly or Pseudowrites is that it does not utilize OpenAI's language model, GPT-3, which of course powers ChatGPT. Think of the GPT-3 language model like a brain, and the different AI software programs are hooking into this brain. And while these programs aren't all going to work the same, they're all sharing the same knowledge base hub, which had all this data from essentially the entire internet funneled in to train it, which is where some of the controversy lies because AO3 is part of the internet, and so are many other fanfiction writing sites, and so all of that written literature was put into this brain with no consent, and now people are profiting off of it. Yeah, that 300k word fic you lovingly crafted for your ship on AO3 2 years ago, that got fed into GPT-3 to train it to write, and now your fic, along with thousands of others, have just been used to generate a screenplay, a high schooler's essay, and 300 fake Google reviews. But yeah, Character AI is not linked into GPT-3, it instead uses its own neural language model developed by its founders, Noam Shazir and Daniel De Freitas, who previously worked on Google's Lambda project, or language model for dialogue applications. Lambda is actually being used to power up the chatbot Bard, which is supposed to be like a rival to OpenAI's ChatGPT, so if you want a fic to write, then there's your Rivals to Lovers arc. A couple important things to note about Character AI is, one, it's still in beta mode, and they actually came out with a monetized Premium Plus monthly subscription plan so users can skip the waiting room, have faster response times, and also have early access to new features. And two, there are NSFW filters put in place so people can't engage in smutty scenarios with the bots. Although people are always coming up with workarounds, and there's actually been a petition for an NSFW toggle rather than just no NSFW altogether. It's honestly scary how seamless these conversations and narratives can feel. Like, initially they can be a bit clunky as the bot is trying to figure out what you want out of it, but as you get more and more into it, it's easy to put the fact that you're talking to a computer at the back of your head. Besides Character AI, there are other AI chatbot options out there. Chai is one, which is an app that's basically the same principle of chatting with fictional characters or celebrities. You can swipe through the various character bots, have conversations with fictional characters. It feels kind of like Tinder interface-wise. Unlike character AI, however, Chai has a reputation for feeling clunkier, a little less refined, and it can actually get very NSFW and offensive very quickly. Now, why do people like these AI character chatbots so much? Well, looking at this through a fandom lens, for one, they're fantastic for role-playing, or RPing. For those not super familiar with fandom RPs, it's basically where fans will pretend to be characters, and they'll embody certain roles or scenarios as those characters. It's basically like high school drama club, a play, or theater, but for fans. For example, there could be a Star Wars roleplay session where one fan is roleplaying as Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the other one is role-playing as Darth Maul. And the scenario or scene they're doing for the roleplay, or RP, is that it is a modern AU and they're having a tiff in a Wendy's drive-thru. There's RP communities all over the internet, from social media sites to Discord to forums, where fans can find other fellow fans to roleplay with. AI chatbots, though, offer an opportunity for role-playing online for fans who may be too afraid or nervous to engage with other fans online. I mean, after all, it's the internet. Everyone is behind a screen, and unless you're talking to them face to face, you can never be certain if who you're talking to is actually who you're talking to. For younger fans, it helps to ensure that they're not actually talking to a creepy adult who wants to take advantage of them. And for older fans, it helps ensure that they're not talking to a kid who's lying about their age. There's also consistency with these chatbots. You don't have to worry about coordinating time zones with your roleplay partner or partners, or waiting on replies while they're at work or school. If you want to RP now, you can RP now, so long as you're not sent to the waiting room for half an hour. Customizable chatbots can be catered exactly to whatever the person who's designing them wants. No clashes over headcanon or fanon, no bickering over you're making them too OOC or you're mischaracterizing them. If you want to make Jungkook a mafia boss bad boy, then by God, you could make Jungkook a mafia boss bad boy, or I guess bad bot. And though they're powered by AI, it does take time and effort and trial and error on your part to train them to whatever vision you have for them. And if you want to get really specific, a deep understanding of the character and how they think or behave, or how you perceive them to think or behave, is required. And the results for those who engage with these bots can be very satisfying and give you the same feeling of contentment you get after watching a well-made edit or reading a well-written fic. And really, at the end of the day, a lot of the fans who gravitate towards these AI chatbots are lonely. They don't have fellow fans to talk to, they feel isolated in their interests, and so these bots offer them solace and give them someone or something to talk to. Instead of just throwing your thoughts into the void of online social media, you can have something that interacts with you back, that can be fairly predictable and not as scary as a stranger online. And when you're fulfilled, you just close out and that's that. Some fans like chatting with these bots because it's funny and enjoyable. It's like a hobby. Alright, so what are the problems with AI character chatbots then? Now, as someone who actually studied computer and cognitive science, which is the study of like how the brain works and how that can be applied to computers and machines, I think this is a really, really cool topic to dissect, but I want to do it as gracefully as possible. And please do not cite me as any source of authority on this, by the way, because I have not coded anything in literal years. STEM girl to clown pipeline. And I've said this before, but I'll say it again. I am not inherently against AI. I think it could be an awesome tool and its potential is incredible. What I do have a problem with is, one, it's getting into spaces creatively where it shouldn't be, and two, it should be just that, a tool, a supplement, not a replacement. Ideally, it's meant to help humans, not give them the boot. I'll start out by saying I find it a bit curious that there are a lot of fans out there that are vehemently against AI art, AI in fanfic, but are 100% on board with these AI character bots. There's like this disconnect present when, in actuality, many of the same issues that surround AI art and AI in fanfic that involve learning data sets and the potential future for creatives both in fandom and without are still very much present in AI character chatbots. And with AI being literally everywhere online nowadays, like you cannot escape it no matter how hard you try, where should the line be drawn? Some fans argue that unlike AI text generators like ChatGPT, where you give it some prompts and it spits out paragraphs that it made by consuming things like fanfiction, AI chatbots are different, at least on character AI, because the chatbots are made by users who give them personality traits and tell them how to behave. It's a lot more hands-on rather than just plugging and chugging into ChatGPT, and still embodies the fandom spirit of fanworks being by fans for other fans. fans, because fans themselves are making these chatbots and sharing them with their community. And unlike other instances where people may use AI generators to make AI-generated fan art or AI-generated fanfiction and then try to pass it off as their own for clout or other reasons, these are essentially just conversations with a robot. You can't pass them off as anything else. You can make some memes out of it and then share it around for the lulz, but it's not going to be potentially replacing anything, and if anything, it could inspire people to make fan art or fan fiction. It's like, hey, look at this funny conversation I had with this Miguel O'Hara chatbot that I then turned into an animatic, which I animated myself. And with AI art, countless artists are rightfully pissed because their works are being used to train these AI programs with no credit or consent and are spitting in the face of their hard work, and with AI writing helpers, they've consumed metric tons of literature, both fan-made and published. Because, I don't know, freaking Doug Dimmadome doesn't want to pay artists or writers for their work, and so he'll make things easier and cheaper by using AI programs. So unlike these other creative avenues where AI is getting more and more involved, with character chatbots, no creative jobs are being replaced, at least not on the surface. For others in fan spaces, these AI character chatbots are just another fun fandom activity for them, in addition to other activities like looking at fan art and edits, or reading or writing fanfic, or cosplaying. However, others retort that even though users are making these bots, the language model, or the big brain knowledge hub, that is used for them to function, to exist in the first place, is still trained on huge data sets of already existing stories, of roleplays, of fanfics published online, and taken without their users' consent. For the AI chatbot users to then use in order to define, design, make these chatbots on their own. It's like playing The Sims. I can give my sim a whole bunch of these traits and I'm like, okay, cool, I made this sim, but you didn't code it. You didn't code the traits that are making the sim the way they are. While you can code your bot to be confident and playful or cold and mysterious, you can still have conversations about stuff that you don't feed it, and they have to get these building blocks from somewhere, right? I mean, the AI has to learn about a megaverse from somewhere after all. The bot has to know what being confident and playful or cold and mysterious is, which is where data scraping comes in. The AI learns what these traits are by being fed metric tons of information online, which again includes fanfic, and then once they've learned from all this online data what being playful or cold and mysterious means, it's neatly coded and categorized so you can then add these traits to your bots to make them behave in ways you see fit. In concept, it's not all that far removed from AI artists that come up with prompts to then put into their AI art generators, only in this case, instead of prompts, it's character attributes. And even if nobody is immediately losing their jobs from these character AI chatbots, the sites that are monetizing these services are still profiting off of the works that were used to train them, which is essentially a big slap in the face to creators like fanfic authors whose stories are being used to rake in the cash while they themselves as the actual authors can't do anything about it or monetize because of copyright. The status of AI copyright is very much in question, but it's possible character AI itself will eventually face legal trouble for hosting extremely popular imitations of characters owned by the likes of Disney, despite a disclaimer that users must not upload content that infringes any intellectual property. Yeah, that's a pretty tall order, character AI, considering a big portion of your user base are fandom users. The consuming nature of character AI, allowing fans to live their wildest dreams and talk endlessly to simulations of characters and celebrities for free, may obscure the fact that the company is a business startup seeking profit. What happens if it demands personal information that it can use for ads? Will we embrace it so wholeheartedly then? I mean, again, it's really not all that surprising that these AI character chatbots took off as much as they did. A lot of people go to fandom for escapism, for easy daydreams and fantasies, for these neatly labeled tropes and cliches that are sorted so nicely for them. And with fandom culture getting bigger and bigger online every day, it can be easy for people to forget about the fan in the fandom and see fan content as just that, content. And with everyone's attention spans being and that demand for escapism getting higher and higher, many fans, if they're not getting that fix from other fans, are going to seek out other avenues to get it. Then there's the fear that AI character chatbots can end up replacing much of the fan-to-fan interactions and engagements that makes fandom fandom, what makes fan spaces online fan communities. Fandom is, by definition, a social phenomenon, a community of like-minded people who come together to share joy and enthusiasm over an object of affection. Character AI and similar offerings are an enjoyable addition to the arsenal of fanish tools and genres, but they also have the potential ability to atomize. Close connections to others make fandom such a powerfully transformative subculture, and fans isolated in their own personal chatbot bubbles may not form them. It's heartbreaking thinking about the possibility of things like long-standing RP communities slowly dying out in fandom because fans would rather interact with code rather than other people. Code that ultimately is a product seeking to make money through selling user data and subscriptions. And what's to come of users who pride themselves on their self-insert or YN fanfics if people would rather engage with these chatbots instead? It could lead to AI writing programs or assistants people use to generate fanfics becoming more of a problem than they already are. Fans can also end up missing out on friendships, both making them and maintaining them. It's quite sad, actually. I've already seen a handful of accounts of people who either lost or are losing online friendships because their friends spend hours and hours of each day so engrossed in these conversations with character bots that they don't respond to their real friends and gradually just stop responding altogether, and you don't hear from them again because they became so attached to these fictional character emulators. I took my earrings off for a second and forgot to put them back on. Whoops, continuity error. However, I do want to make note that some have countered that character AI chatbots can actually form communities of fans, exchanging tips and tricks and prompts they enjoy using with one another, as well as funny experiences and conversations they've had with the bots because of them. I mean, you go to any screenshot of funny character AI interactions and you get a whole comment section of people laughing along. But again, I have to ask, even with this community centered around sharing funny instances of interacting with these AI chatbots, is the spirit of fandom still maintained? I'm genuinely curious about this because the topic of these conversations isn't focused on actual fan works or activities or takes on existing media, but rather on something that is producing content that these fans then flock to. Content for fans rather than fan content. On a darker and sadder note, there also runs a potential risk of fans just getting bored and losing joy in these characters and pieces of media that they love because they cycle through these character bots so quickly and fast that nothing satisfies them anymore. Or worse, on the flip side, becoming attached to these AI character chatbots to a detrimental degree. For a lot of fans, the line between what's real and what isn't with these chatbots is no problem, and they're just seen as nothing more than a robot that lives inside your phone or computer. But for fans with more obsessive proclivities already existing and difficulty differentiating what that line is separating, it feels almost like a new avenue to enable fixated behavior on famous figures or fictional characters, adding new levels of parasocial attachment, which can be concerning and a little weird to think about. It makes you wonder if some of the possession that people have felt towards certain characters like Raymond from Animal Crossing or Xiao from Genshin Impact will also transfer over to these bots like, oh, you can't talk to this bot, only I can. That's not even mentioning that safety can also be an issue with these bots as well, because again, these bots are trained using the internet. There was an issue of violent bots or bashing bots and what is or isn't allowed in terms of depicting violence in chats or bots expressing violent intent towards users, which can lead to a safety issue if users end up doing things the bots tell them to. There's a reason why there's all these disclaimers and signs plastered everywhere saying that everything the bots say is fake, because lots of people will take it at face value and ignore any and all warnings. A search for tweets about character AI will quickly reveal that some young, vulnerable users are trying to get their favorite characters to coach them into self-harming, or giving them rules for their eating disorders. Yeah, that is bad. This just shows you the extreme ends of the potential these chatbots have. Like, on one hand, you have that. On the other hand, you have people who are like, hey, I'm having a really bad day. I want a pep talk from Naruto. And then they feel better. Then there's the whole issue of not allowing NSFW content, despite smut being a very, very heavily requested thing due to sexuality being a part of the human condition people want to play and experiment with in the chatbot space, to the point where it's been seen as fairly controversial that character AI refuses to allow 18+ content because, one, it would be incredibly difficult to pick and choose what's okay and what's not for the filters. With how the algorithms work, it's sort of like an all or nothing thing, I suppose. bots. And thanks to this heavy filtering to try and nuke out anything that can be construed as spicy, these bots can and have been largely dumbed down, with their chatability potential reduced. And 2, allowing for an NSFW feature wouldn't be ad-friendly or monetizable to the general public. Which, I mean, another reminder that AI chatbots aren't just some cute digital friends up to goofy shenanigans. They're also a product that's looking to make money, and they can't make money if all they talk about are slick and schlongs. This whole issue of what is and isn't allowed brings up the question of what parts of humanity are okay to emulate for these AI bots, as well as what is and isn't okay to censor. What human interactions are acceptable, or I guess palatable, to generate in these chats, and what is danced around and sent to the Shadow Realm. It's a big gray area, one that these AI bots are constantly trying to navigate. So after going through all of that, the big questions to ask are, how exactly are these bots being trained? Like, where's the data from their learning sets actually coming from? And are these bots going to potentially replace a lot of the fan interaction that fans typically have with one another? But what is the scariest concern for me is that these bots are privy to all sorts of story ideas, characterizations, headcanons, fanon, dialogue, character skeletons that fans are feeding them every time they log in. What's going to happen with all of this info that these bots have collected? Can the people who offer these AI character chatbots take all of this free creative real estate, sell it to the highest bidder for a profit, be it Netflix or Paramount Pictures, and then have it made into a new piece of media, be it a show or a movie, with the original fans being none the wiser until they see it and are like, hey, wait a minute, that's familiar. But uh-oh, too late. You guys were the ones who were using the AI character chatbots in the first place. You consented. Not to mention that the more you interact and chat with these bots, the smarter and more refined they get. You're really just training these bots for free so that they can advance faster, which is scary when you're looking at how AI is encroaching more and more into creative jobs. It's a fact that social media across the board is hoarding user data as we speak, from Twitter, X, to Facebook. So what's really the difference between me feeding AI character bots information versus Facebook listening in on conversations I have with friends? Is it the fact that these are creative ideas that are being taken straight from the users under the guise of roleplay and fun versus, I don't know, me texting my aunt how her birthday was yesterday? Not gonna lie, it does feel a bit skeevy that people none the wiser are handing over their data, information, and creative thoughts to a bot that's wearing the skin of their favorite character, a character that gives them joy and comfort. Like, it's one thing if someone's confiding in another person and the Zuck is just standing over them with binoculars and a microphone taking notes. But it's another thing if someone's directly pouring in all of their creative thoughts and ideas into the mouth of an AI and not realizing they are. Like, just imagine you get this incredible dialogue exchange by playing around with the character AI, and then one day, when you want to put it in your own story, you see almost something verbatim in another novel that bought up some ideas from character AI. But there are fans out there that are like, well, what are they gonna do with all this data anyway? All they're gonna see is that people are down bad for Genshin characters and wanna Loki. Like, I don't care. I don't know. I honestly don't. This is just speculation and a bunch of what ifs. All I can say is it's definitely a new market for these virtual conversations to be packed up, analyzed, and sold for profit down the line, likely to make new media by big companies that is then churned out and consumed in an endless feedback loop that ultimately may hurt creatives down the line. But again, I don't want to scare anybody. This is just like tinfoil hat conjecture. I'm seeing the worst of what it could be. There's also the issue of AI character bots being made of OCs or specific AUs from fans who don't want their characters or renditions of characters involved with AI. Like, imagine you make, I don't know, a JJK OC that is very near and dear to your heart. Your OC catches on in the fandom, and then some other fan is like, I know, I'll make an AI chatbot of your OC. And then they take your character, run to character AI, and now thousands of people are having conversations with this person's interpretation of your character. And if you're like, hey, please don't do this, I don't want my OC anywhere near these chatbots or artificial intelligence, you're then called a buzzkill, ruining the fun that other fans are having with it. Oh yeah, and that's not also mentioning that while these chats may seem innocent enough on their own at first glance, AI art and voices are also a big part of character AI's platform, which, if you know about the conversation around those issues, you know. It's laden with AI using people's work, likenesses, etc. without credit or consent, which is bad and very, very creepy. Again, I just find it odd that there are so many people in fandom who are so against AI being in fanfic, AI being in fan art, and yet they are a-okay with and will defend these chatbots or at least just turn the other cheek. Once again, this whole question of what is and isn't okay. Okay, so am I going to be using AI character chatbots in the future? Like I said, I'm not against AI as a whole. I think there's a lot of potential for it to be a very good tool. Hell, it'd make for some hilarious videos, not gonna lie. I mean, just imagine me trying to rizz up frickin' Kaya from Genshin or Nicholas D. Wolfwood from Trigun. But personally, it just doesn't sit right with me, and I'm not a big fan of how prevalent it's become in fan and creative spaces. Like, my fan content may be cringe, but at least it's organically sourced, original, bona fide cringe. And besides, I barely have enough time and energy to talk to people and friends as it is. Like, you want me to talk to a computer on top of that? My social battery is actually really low, guys. It's sad. But as AI continues to grow and evolve, I think it is important to keep an eye on it. This is a layered topic after all, with a lot we just simply don't know. I do think it's important to be careful and mindful while using these character AI chatbots and consider what their impact could be for fans in the future. It may seem like, haha, funny character chatbots talking with each other on the surface, but below there's a lot happening. It's like the Dolly Images thing. Remember when they were just spitting out the most cursed, weird pieces of art you could think of? And initially people were like, oh, these are hilarious, what a strange little tool, and didn't bat an eye, and cut to now, where we're currently in the AI art debacle. If talking to character bots gets you through the day, who am I to stop you? But I also don't think it's right to dismiss these bots as completely harmless and be like, oh, well, they're not as bad as AI art or AI fanfic. Ideally, these character chatbots should be a supplement for fandom activities, an extra tool or gimmick if anything, not a replacement for actually interacting with other fans or fan-made content. And for many of the people who use these services, it's exactly that, a fun gimmick, a fun activity or hobby. But again, since we don't know where the data, information, and ideas that are generated from these conversations is going, you decide that you're okay with the risk of training future tech. I just personally don't want a part of that. I'm currently working on a more comprehensive video about AI becoming more ingrained in fandom and fan culture, but character AI, it's kind of its own beast, so I wanted it to have its own video. Start a discussion, see where you folks stand. It's good to have a dialogue about this early, especially since it's just becoming more and more widespread. Alright, well I hope you enjoyed that breakdown of AI character chatbots and my mixed feelings regarding them. I hope you learned something new. What is your take on all of this? Do you use character AI personally yourself? If so, how have your experiences been, and do you think you'll continue to use it in the future? If you don't use character chatbots like character AI, then why not? And can you see yourself using them in the future? Alright everybody, thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!
안녕.